basahin niyo ulit yung, I'm going to upload a copy of my slides pala in PDF format. Also, I'm going to upload a video recording of this lecture. So, makikinig lang talaga kayo for this afternoon. So, once you finish this lecture and then go back to your notes, later on, you'll be able to enumerate the different bones of the upper extremity. If not enumerate, you can identify them and describe the characteristics of each bone and their articulations, no? Kasi yung mga bones na yan, nagpo-form yan ng joints, okay? And then hopefully, know the common clinical conditions of the upper limb. But that's, the list of, my concern for you guys. But basic lang, malaman nyo lang yung mga bones sa upper extremity, work good. Okay, so these are my references. Okay, so let's go with the upper limb. Okay, so the upper limb, okay, unlike the lower limb, is characterized by its mobility and its ability to grasp, strike, and conduct fine motor skills. Okay, example ng fine motor skills, writing, and buttoning a shirt. Okay, the upper limb consists of 4 main segments. Okay, number 1, we have the shoulder. Okay, also known as the glenohumeral joint. So yung medical term ng shoulder is glenohumeral joint. Okay, it is the most proximal segment of the upper limb. Okay, so that's the glenohumeral joint. Second, the orange box is the arm. Okay, so it is the first segment of the upper limb. Okay, third is the forearm. Okay, it is the second longest segment of the limb. And lastly, we have the hand. Okay, this is the part of the upper limb, distal o malayo sa forearm, that forms the carpus, wrist, metacarpus, and phalanges, that of the hand. Okay, so let's go to part 1, shoulder and arm. Okay, so unahin muna natin yung shoulder. Now, the shoulder, balikat, it consists of these structures right here. Okay, the shoulder connects the superior appendicular skeleton. Okay, so the upper limbs, it connects it to the axial skeletal system. So yung limbs natin, okay, upper limbs to be more specific, is connected to the axial skeleton, okay, by the shoulder through a hanging mechanism. Okay, so yung shoulder, it consists of the clavicles, okay, and the scapulae. Now, the clavicle is connected to the sternum, okay, at the sternoclavicular joint. Okay, so mamaya, yung details ng mga joints will be discussed by Dr. Ortega. The scapula naman articulates at the humerus or the arm bone at the glenohumeral joint or the shoulder joint. Alright? So, ayan. Ito yung sinasabi natin. Okay? This is the clavicle. Okay? That is the scapula. Okay? So, this green lightning structure points to the sternoclavicular joint, whereas this refers to the glenohumeral joint. Okay, so ito yung mga unang joints na ma-encounter natin sa upper extremity. Okay pa tayo? Ngayon, gusto natin, okay, pag-usapan yung each bone na kabilang sa mga joints na to. However, I will not discuss the sternum, okay, kasi kasama siya sa discussion ng thorax, which is another module. Okay, let's now go to the clavicle, guys. Okay, so the clavicle, this is connected to the sternum, di ba, at the sternoclavicular joint. Okay, so yung clavicle, this connects the upper limb to the trunk. Okay, so meron siyang dalawang dulo. Okay, so the clavicle in lay people's term, this is called the collarbone. May dalawa siyang end eh. It has the sternal end and the acromial end. Let's first talk about the sternal end. The sternal end is the one that is enlarged. Mas malaki siya. It's triangular. When you cut it and tinignan mo yung cross-section niya, it's more triangular in shape. And it articulates at the sternum, at the point sa sternum called the manubrium. Dun yung exact kabitan ng clavicle. Okay? And kung saan nakikita yung sternum at saka yung clavicle, that's called the sternoclavicular joint. Okay? Pero which exact part ng sternum nakakabit ang clavicle? That's called the manubrium. Okay, so kalimutan na muna natin yung manubrium. Let's put it aside for a little while. Let's just focus on the clavicle. Now, we said that the clavicle has two ends. The sternal end, which is connected to the sternum, and the acromial end. Compared to the sternal end, the acromial end is flat, okay? Where it articulates with the acromion of the scapula at the acromioclavicular joint. Okay, so the difference is that the one that is connected to the sternum is bigger and triangular in shape. The one that is connected to the scapula, saang eksakto sa scapula nakakonect yung clavicle? It's connected to a point in the scapula called the acromion. Kaya ang tawag sa kanya acromial end. Kung saan nagkikita yung scapula and yung clavicle, that's called the acromioclavicular joint. Now, why do we talk about the clavicle? Because it serves different functions. First, it serves as a movable crane-like strut from which the scapula and the free limb is suspended. Second, it protects the neurovascular structures that are found on the upper limb. Okay? And lastly, it transmits shocks, especially traumatic injuries or traumatic impacts from the upper limb to the axial skeleton. So mainly, ito yung connector between the upper extremity, okay, or the upper limb to the axial skeleton. That's the main bone. That little bone or strut connects the upper extremity to the midline or the axial skeleton. So that's for the clavicle. Okay? So when you proceed to your laboratory and you look at the clavicle, it actually has some surfaces. Okay? So the first one is the superior surface of the clavicle. Okay, so you will note that the superior surface of the clavicle, okay, when you palpate your collarbone or your clavicle, you are actually feeling the superior surface of it. It is just lying deep to the skin and the platysma, okay, and the subcutaneous tissue. So note na kapag kinapa mo, it is smooth, right? Now, kung meron kang superior surface of the clavicle, you also have the inferior surface of the clavicle. Now, the inferior surface of the clavicle is rough. Why? Because there are strong ligaments that are attached to the inferior surface of the clavicle. Those ligaments bind the clavicle to the first rib, okay, especially located on its sternal end. Kaya tingnan nyo, may mga ridges siya. Okay? And these also are the inferior surface of the clavicle is that place where you would see the different tubercles. Okay, so let's discuss number one, the conoid tubercle. So the conoid tubercle, so this one right here, it is near which end? The acromial end of the clavicle. Okay, and it gives attachment to the conoid ligament. So yung conoid tubercle, doon nakakabit yung conoid ligament. Okay? So that's one of the coracoclavicular ligaments. Okay? So later, I will explain to you the significance of this. Okay? Now, another protuberance that you will see, okay, in the inferior surface of the clavicle is the trapezoid line. Now, the trapezoid line, it is a rough surface ulit in the inferior surface of the clavicle. And bakit siya rough? Because merong naka-attach sa kanya na another ligament. And it is the trapezoid ligament. Okay? So sa kanilang dalawa, the conoid ligament, which is connected to the conoid tubercle, is more medial. Mas nasa loob siya. Whereas, the trapezoid ligament, which is attached to the trapezoid line, is more lateral. Mas nasa labas siya. Now, these two, the conoid ligament and the trapezoid ligament, okay, these two comprise the structure called the coracoclavicular joint. What's the purpose of the coracoclavicular joint? Oh, okay, so sorry, the coracoclavicular ligament. So, yung ligament na pinagsamang conoid ligament and trapezoid ligament, they make up the coracoclavicular ligament. And they stabilize, okay, or connect the clavicle, okay, to the coracoid. Now, later on, you will see that the coracoid is another part of the scapula. Okay, so ito lang ba yung mga nakikita nating grooves or lines sa inferior surface ng clavicle? Meron pa. Lastly, we have the subclavian groove. The subclavian groove, okay, this is in the medial third of the clavicle, and it is the site of the attachment of the subclavius muscle. Okay, kung yung conoid tubercle at yung trapezoid line ang nakakabit sa kanila, parehong ligament, yung subclavian groove ang nakakabit sa kanya muscle. And what is peculiar with the subclavius? In practice, okay, and in principle, when you have a muscle, that muscle will originate from one bone and then insert to another bone. What differs sa subclavius muscle is that it originates in the clavicle and also inserts sa clavicle. Okay, so nagsisimula siya dito sa sternal end, inferior surface ng clavicle, and also inserts sa acromial end, inferior surface ng clavicle. Okay, so those are the prominent surfaces and the grooves that you will see in the undersurface of the clavicle. Okay, last na, you will also see the impression for the costoclavicular ligament. Okay, so in your bones, so you will see that it's located at the medial surface. This is a rough and often depressed structure or oval area that gives attachment to the ligament binding the first rib to the clavicle. So, sobrang halaga talaga ng clavicle kasi ang daming nakakonect sa kanya at ang daming butong nag-articulate sa kanya. So when we say articulate, there are a lot of bones that connects to it. Okay? So that's for the inferior surface of the clavicle. Now, so ito yung meron pala akong photo. So take note, this is the conoid ligament, more medial. This is the trapezoid ligament, more lateral. Okay? And together, you call them the coracoclavicular ligament. Okay? There's also a ligament, okay, that attaches at the acromial end of the clavicle, okay, and ends or inserts at the acromion of the scapula. Alright? So those two are the ligaments that we're talking about. Kaya pala sa inferior surface ng clavicle, bako-bako. Kasi ang daming nakakabit. Okay? Whereas sa superior surface, walang nakakabit halos, kaya it's very smooth. Okay. Alright. Okay, so that's this one, this red muscle right here, that's the subclavius. Okay, originates in the clavicle and inserts in the clavicle. Okay, and there's also that costoclavicular depression where the ligament that binds or connects the first rib to the clavicle originates. Okay, so you can see that the clavicle is subcutaneous, di ba? Nakakapa natin siya. And it is one of the most frequently fractured bones. Okay, so clavicular fractures are especially quite common in children and are often caused by an indirect force, sometimes pwede rin direct force, to transmitted from a fall from an outstretched hand. Okay, kapag naitukod mo yung kamay mo, there is a transmittal of energy, you can break your clavicle. Or katulad dito sa figure, there is a person who's riding a skateboard that fell and hit his right shoulder directly onto the ground. Okay, and this fracture directly on the shoulder can cause a fracture in the clavicle. And the weakest part of the clavicle is in the junction of its middle and lateral thirds. Okay? So, sabi natin, the weakest part of the clavicle is in the midline. It's in the middle third of the clavicle. Okay? So, the reason for this is because this is the thinnest area of the bone. Okay? All right. So, alright, so this is a photo of a person demonstrating skin tenting. So this is the clavicle and it's broken right smack in the middle, and you could see that the bone is actually trying to stick out. That is what we call skin tenting. Okay? Following a displaced mid-shaft clavicular fracture. Okay? So, yung katumbas niya sa x-ray, parang ganito. So, the clavicular x-ray of this patient will show a mid-shaft, okay, fracture. So, the proximal fragment is superiorly displaced, while the distal fragment inferiorly displaced. Ngayon, tatanungin niyo ako, why does the clavicle not stay in position? If it gets broken, pwede namang makat lang siya pero nandun pa rin siya. Bakit po ganyan yung attitude ng clavicle? Yung isa po pataas, yung isa po pababa. Now, to answer this question, okay, we have to remember that the clavicle is an attachment of various muscles and ligaments, right? Okay. So, after mabalian, okay, after a fracture of the clavicle, okay, the sternocleidomastoid, which is this muscle right here, okay, elevates the medial fragment of the bone. Kaya meron kang displacement superiorly. Okay? Because of the subcutaneous position of the clavicles, the end of the superiorly directed fragment is prominent. So, dahil wala masyado kang muscle sa gitna, no, nakakapa mo talaga siya. And by the nature ng clavicle that it's subcutaneous. Ngayon, bakit naman ganito yung itsura ng distal fragment? Okay? So the trapezius muscle, so this muscle right here, is unable to hold the lateral fragment. So itong lateral or yung distal fragment, hindi siya makaakyat din because there's a pull of the muscles inferiorly kasi yung arm mo nandito di ba? And this carries weight. Hindi matalo ng weight ng arm, okay? Hindi matalo ng trapezius muscle yung weight ng arm, hence pababa yung distal fragment. Okay? Now, the strong coracoclavicular ligaments, okay, usually prevents dislocation. So, di ba nakakabit dito yung conoid tsaka trapezoid? So, those two important ligaments, okay, they prevent dislocation of the clavicle itself, okay, from the scapula, okay, from the uh, shoulder region. Okay? So, this is the reason why ganun yung itsura ng X-ray. Okay? So, in addition to being depressed, the lateral fragment of the clavicle may be pulled medially. So, mapupul siya papunta sa gitna kaya merong overlapping, right? And the overlapping is caused by, okay, the muscles that pull it to the midline. Okay? And this muscle is the pectoralis major muscle. Sama na rin natin si latissimus dorsi, but mainly the pectoralis major muscle. So, pag nakakita kayo ng X-ray ng complete fracture, nabali completely yung clavicle, at ganito yung itsura niya, it's mainly because of the forces of the sternocleidomastoid pulling it upward, okay? The trapezius not being able to combat the weight of the arm, and the strong pectoralis muscles trying to move, okay, the muscles medially. Okay? So, that's for the clavicle. Okay, kaya ganyan po yung itsura niya. Okay, so the bottom line, the clavicle connects the upper limb to the trunk. It acts as a strut, a connector of the scapula to the upper extremity. Okay, it receives shock from the upper extremity. Kaya pwede kang, even if naitungkod mo yung kamay mo, hindi mo directly nahit yung clavicle mo, you could still break your clavicle. Okay? And the clavicle, by the way, this is just good to know, it's the first long bone to ossify and the last to be fully formed or to fully mature. Alright? So that's for the clavicle. Any questions so far? Madali lang, no? Clavicle. Okay, punta tayo dun sa next bone. Okay? So we have the scapula. Okay, so the following is the scapula. Okay, this is the costal or the anterior surface, and this is the posterior surface of the scapula. You'll note that the scapula is a triangular, siyang triangle naman, di ba? Bone that lies on the posterior, likod at lateral aspect of the thorax. Okay? It overlies the second and seventh rib, and katulad ng clavicle, may surface din siya. Okay, meron siyang anterior or causal surface and the posterior surface. Now, kung makikita nyo, dito sa posterior surface, merong parang bone na nakaprotrude, diba? And it effectively divides the posterior surface of the clavicle into two parts. Okay, the superior and the inferior. Okay, kaya lang, meron mas special na tawag eh. Ang tawag dyan ay supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa. Okay? So, yan. So, ganyan yung itsura ng clavicle in a 3D reconstruction. Okay, so you have the anterior or causal surface and the posterior surface of the clavicle. And sa posterior, may dalawa kang surfaces or fossa. Pag sinabi nating fossa, no, it's like a little pocket. Okay, so pocket, bulsa. Kasi yung mga areas na yan, para siyang bulsa kasi merong nakalagay na muscle sa ibabaw nila. Okay, so you have number 1, the supraspinous fossa, which is much smaller compared to the infraspinous fossa, which is much bigger. Okay? Now, wala masyado sa superior surface. We'll also talk about it. Pero mas pag-usapan natin itong posterior surface kasi so much is going on in here. So, this is the likod surface of the clavicle. So guys, ang technique ko sa inyo sa exam, okay, pagka pinapa-identify sa inyo kung ano yung costal or anterior versus yung posterior, ang una niyong titignan is this one. Yan. Okay? This structure right here. Diba sabi natin siya yung nag-divide dun sa scapula into a supraspinous fossa and infraspinous fossa. So, pag nakita nyo tong structure na to, okay, posterior surface ng scapula ang tinitignan natin. Ngayon, this structure, it has a name, okay? It's called the crest or the spine of the scapula, okay? So, if you take a look at it, okay, the crest or the spine of the scapula, as you move laterally, palabas ka ng palabas, it becomes, flared. Okay? And that flared structure, you have a term for it. It's called the acromion. Right? It's called the acromion. Okay? And then, nakita na natin kanina, this is the supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa. Ano naman yung deltoid tubercle of the scapular spine? Okay? So, the deltoid tubercle is this structure right here. Para siyang embossed, para siyang nakalawit, di ba? It's because, okay, muscles such as the deltoid muscle attaches to that surface. Okay? Kaya siya embossed. Okay, ano pa yung nakikita natin from the posterior surface? O nakikita din natin dito yung a little bit yung glenoid. Glenoid, that is the area kung saan mag-shoot yung humeral head. Okay? But yung mga very important na mga structure dito na makikita natin is the crest, okay, or the spine of the scapula, yung dalawang fossa, supra and infraspinous fossa. Okay? You can also see the deltoid tubercle here. Okay? So, pagka hinarap mo yung scapula sa'yo, okay, so, ba't ko ito pinapakita? Kasi guys, pakita ko to sa inyo. Diba, kapag hinarap mo yung scapula, makikita mo pa rin yung acromion, right? So, the acromion, kapag sinundan mo yung spine ng scapula, palabas, nagpe-flare siya, yun ang tawag. Yung flare na yun, ang tawag doon, acromion. Pero pag hinarap mo yung scapula, may dalawang flare eh. May dalawang protuberance eh, right? Yung isa, yung acromion, yung isa, yung coracoid. Ngayon, when I was a medical student, for the life of me, hindi ko talaga maalala kung sino sa kanila si acromion and sino sa kanila si coracoid. So, bigyan ko na lang kayo ng background. Okay? Tanong ko guys, ano yung mas mataas? Acromion o coracoid? Press hard kapag acromion. Ano yung mas superiorly placed? Acromion? Tama, di ba? Acromion yung superiorly placed. Siya yung mas mataas kumpara sa coracoid. Ngayon, kaya ko pinakita tong picture na to. You guys know where this is? Okay, that's Greece. Specifically, Athens, Greece. Okay? What you're looking at is Metropolitan Athens. Okay? So, kung nakikita nyo, okay, yung parang mountain, okay, meron sa taas niya ng mga structure. And that's the Acropolis. Kaya pinangalan siya na Acropolis kasi that's the highest point of Athens. Alright? Therefore, kapag sa exam, papakitaan kayo, ipopoint yung structure na pinakamataas, isipin nyo lang yung Acropolis. Acropolis, mas mataas siya, therefore, yung mas mataas na protuberance, that's the acromion. Okay ba yun? Ngayon, punta naman tayo doon sa ibang mga structures located at the anterior aspect. So this, you can see, unlike sa posterior, sa scapula, you only have the anterior portion na one surface lang, hindi siya nahati sa dalawa. And that's called the subscapular fossa. Okay? And then you can still see the acromion. And then this structure is called the coracoid process. Guys, may dalawang ligament na nakakabit sa coracoid, di ba? Ano ulit yung ligament na yon? Si conoid, at saka si trapezoid. Oh. Sino yung mas lateral? Sino yung mas nasa labas? Si conoid o si trapezoid? Trapezoid. Huwag kayong malilito, baka isipin nyo na trap siya, kaya nasa loob siya. Hindi. Nasa labas si trapezoid. Mauuna muna, letter C before letter T. Okay, tapos this is the glenoid cavity. Okay, this is where the humeral head articulates with the scapula. Alright, so again, okay, so what are the functions of the scapula? So it's an attachment of different muscles. So nabanggit natin kanina, si deltoid, it moves the scapula on the thoracic wall. Okay, it extends the proximal humerus, maintaining the integrity of the joint. The scapular spine and the acromion serve as levers. So these are the areas that, kung mapapansin nyo, yung hip, pag ginalaw nyo, kaya lang niya forward, backward, sideways, and towards midline, di ba? Internal, external rotation, sige. Pero yung shoulder nyo, it can go round and round. Ang daming arcs of motion. And that's because of the flexibility, okay, of the scapular, of the glenohumeral joint. Also, the different protuberances or prominences in the scapula serve as attachment, okay, for different ligaments, not just the muscles. Okay, so bottom line, the scapula, it is a mobile base from which the free limb attaches and acts. And it conforms to the thoracic wall, diba? It overlies the ribs and provides a large surface for attachment of different ligaments and muscles. Okay, so these are the joints of the shoulder girdle. So we cannot discuss kasi the joints or the bones without discussing the joints. So I'll just show this a little bit. So know that the shoulder girdle, sabi natin, the glenohumeral joint is known as the shoulder, diba? Pero yung shoulder girdle, this whole structure right here, iba pa yun. Okay? And it is composed of 7 joints. Okay? So, hindi ko masyado i-discuss because later, this will be expounded by Dr. Ortega. Okay? But it has the vertebrocostal joint. Okay? The costosternal joint. You also have the sternoclavicular joint. The acromioclavicular joint. You also have the glenohumeral joint. Meron ka pa yung mga subacromial joints and the scapulothoracic joint. Okay? So, madami siya. Okay? Ngayon, I introduce another term. It's called the bursa. Pag sinabi nating bursa, this is a small fluid-filled sac that is lined by synovial membrane. Isipin nyo na lang yung mga bumibili kayo online, Shopee, Lazada, right? Diba may mga bubble wrap yon? Just imagine that your joints, may mga bubble wraps din yan. Siyempre, so to provide cushioning, avoid friction, just imagine that's how the bursa works. Okay? Alright, that's, this is an example of the bursa. Oh, mukha naman bubble wrap, diba? Medyo. Okay, so the glenohumeral joint or the shoulder joint, okay, it is the most mobile joint, okay? And dahil dyan, it is also prone to dislocation, okay? So the humeral head only articulates to this quite shallow, glenoid fossa, as much as 30 to 40% lang yung articulation, okay? It is similar to a golf ball. So, pakita ko sa inyo. It's similar to a golf ball. Okay? That is sitting on a T. Okay? With the ball being the head ng humerus and the T being the glenoid fossa. So, only about 1/3 of the joint surface of the ball contacts the T at any time. Because the ball is bigger than the T socket, okay? More movement is allowed. That's good, right? More movement for the shoulder. Now, the ligaments normally bind the bone, okay, the bone to another bone over a joint to help hold it in place, okay, for stability. So here, what we're trying to say is that we sacrifice stability for mobility. For this reason, the shoulder is the easily dislocated and is the most common joint that is dislocated. Okay? Kasi a joint with less stability, therefore, will depend on the surrounding structures, such as the muscles, the ligaments, to protect itself from injury. Okay? Hindi katulad ng hip, di ba? Hindi madaling ma-dislocate ang hip, but hindi rin ganon ka-mobile yung hip, unlike the shoulder. Alright? Okay. So, sabi natin, dahil hindi siya, mas malaki pa yung ball kesa dun sa socket, di ba? 30 to 40% lang yung articulation. Umaasa yung shoulder sa soft tissue sa nakapaligid sa kanya to stabilize it. Okay? And may tawag tayo dun sa stabilizer na yon. There is a special term for the structures that stabilize the joint to prevent shoulder dislocation. Okay? And that can be divided into, so those stabilizers can be divided into static and dynamic stabilizers. Right? So yung static stabilizers, yun yung osseous architecture, yung pag-sit nung golf ball sa T or ng humeral head doon sa glenoid fossa. Yung glenoid labrum, so this is like, parang sa patilya siya. Pinapalawak niya yung surface area kung saan pwedeng umupo yung golf ball or yung humeral head. And also the ligaments, okay, the capsule. Okay, so those are static stabilizers. The dynamic stabilizers, these are the muscles. So we have the rotator cuff muscles and the musculotendinous structures. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating osteostabilizers, we talk about this one, yung pinaka-anatomy ng bones, how it connects, parang Lego. Okay? Pero dahil nga shallow lang yung glenoid fossa, kaya hindi siya ganun ka-stable. You need to have what we call a glenoid labrum. So if this HH is the humeral head, this GL is the glenoid labrum. So ito, what I am outlining right now is the glenoid fossa. Ang liit lang niya. Okay? Pero dahil meron kang glenoid labrum, mas lumalim yung pwedeng upuan nung humeral head. Okay? Alright. So, mas lumalim siya by, so it deepens the fossa by 2.5 millimeters or basically 100% increase in depth of the glenohumeral joint. Okay? Tapos ito yung capsule that also helps in stabilizing the shoulder. So, three main capsules are important, the superior, the middle, and inferior. Okay? So, you'll talk about this more later in the joint lecture. Now, the dynamic stabilizers, this is actually what is more important, no? The dynamic stabilizers. And if you are going to remember the dynamic stabilizers, remember the rotator cuff muscles because they are the key to dynamic stability. Okay? So, yung rotator cuff muscle, isipin nyo parang K-pop group yan. Okay? Blackpink, for example. So, yung Blackpink, or malito kayo So, yung rotator cuff muscles, binubuo siya ng 4 muscles, namely supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. Okay? Pag sama-samahan nyo itong 4 na muscles na to, ang tawag sa kanila, rotator cuff. Okay ba yun? And they are the main dynamic stabilizers of the shoulder joint. Okay? Repetitive. Shoulder na, joint pass of the shoulder. Okay? So, mamaya, later you will learn that there are 2 kinds of teres May teres minor, may teres major. Okay? Sino tong nasa photo? Si Ron Weasley, di ba? Ron Weasley. So, isipin nyo na lang, rotator cuff. Di ba may rotator cuff naman din si Ron Weasley? So, para si teres minor yung isasagot nyo sa exam. Okay lang kung corny, basta maalala nyo to sa exam. Rotator cuff muscle. Rotator cuff muscle. Ulit-ulitin ko. Okay? Para hindi nyo na to mapagkamalian sa exam. Alright? So those are the four muscles of the rotator cuff. Okay? So musculotendinous structures, these are basically other muscles and tendons, not mainly moving the shoulders, but surrounds the shoulders, okay, that afford stability to the glenohumeral joint. Sino-sino ba yon? Eh di ito, si pectoralis, si deltoid, triceps, biceps. Pero kasi yung action niya more on the elbow, no, not really intimately associated with the shoulder. Alright? So ito yung mga movements nila. Okay? So that's for the shoulder. Any questions? At 2 p.m., I'm going to give you a bio break for 5 minutes. Okay? For 5 minutes. So give me 15 minutes pa. Let's move on to the to the arm. Oh, I'm running out of time. Okay. So for the arm, madali lang to. Okay. So the arm is the arm also known as the humerus. So guys, makikisuyo ako sa inyo. Dahil med students na kayo and in the future, you're gonna be my colleagues. Alright? That actually studied anatomy, no? Yeah. So, kapag magde-describe tayo, we say arm. Right? And then, kapag gusto nating i-describe yung kasunod niya, we say forearm. Wala pong upper arm. Arm lang. Walang lower arm. Forearm yun. Diba? So, kaya important kasi kapag hindi tayo ganun, hindi tayo magkakaintindihan, no? So, there. So, the arm, okay? So, ito yung mga parts niya, okay? The arm, we call it humerus, okay? It's the largest bone in the upper extremity and it articulates with the scapula at the glenohumeral joint and the radius and the ulna at the elbow joint. So it has a globular, it has a globular proximal part, a flat distal part, a lateral, and a medial condyle. Okay? It has an olecranon, okay, ang may smiley face, coronoid, and radial fossa, and a radial groove. So those are the structures na bandang nasa elbow na. Okay? Yan. So, there's also a groove, okay, located at the shaft, okay, called the radial groove. In some books, it's called the spiral groove. All right? So, that's for the arm. So, punta tayo dun sa proximal part. So, the spherical head of the humerus articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Okay? So, yung proximal part, kung saan natin makikita yung head ng humerus, it is actually divided pa into different areas. So, there is what you call the anatomical neck. Okay? So, the anatomical neck, this one. Okay? The anatomical neck of the humerus is formed by the groove circumscribing the head and separating it. So, circumscribing the head and separates it from the tubercles. Ito kasi yung mga tubercles. Okay? So, yung mga tubercles, name din sila. It's called the greater, kasi mas malaki, and the lesser tubercles. In some books, tuberosity. Kahit ano sa kanilang gamitin nyo, parehong tama. Okay? Ngayon, you will see that para siyang line, itong anatomical neck, makikita mo talaga yung discrepancy between this region and this region Okay? So, bakit may line na parang ganyan? Kapag nakakita kayo ng prominence, protuberance, or line, isipin nyo may nakatouch dyan. And what is attached here is the glenohumeral joint capsule. Okay? There's also such a thing as the surgical neck. And the surgical neck, okay? So, the surgical neck of the humerus is a common site of fracture. Kanina, yung clavicle, ang common site niya yung middle third. Yung humerus, yung common site of fracture niya is the surgical neck. Okay? Because it is a narrow part that is distal to the head and the tubercles. Okay? Which are very thick. Okay? And then, the junction of the head and neck, okay, of the humerus with the shaft of the humerus is indicated by the greater and lesser tubercles which provide attachment for the scapulohumeral muscle. So, itong mga greater and lesser tuberosity, they are prominent because muscles are attached to them. Okay? And if you will take a look in between the greater and the lesser tuberosity, there is actually a groove, okay, that separates the two. Okay? So, this is called the intertubercular groove, also known as the bicipital groove. It separates the tubercles and provides a safe passage or a protected passage for the slender tendon of the biceps muscle. Which specific tendon ng biceps muscle? The long head of the biceps muscle. Okay? So, sabi natin, ito yung greater, ito yung lesser tubercle. Tapos, dito sa gitna niya, may dumadaan dyan na tendon. And it is the tendon of the long head of the biceps muscle. Okay? Alright. Bakit umuulit? Yan. So, that is called the intertubercular groove, also known as the bicipital groove. Okay, punta naman tayo sa middle part. The middle part of the humerus, okay, is called the shaft. Okay? The shaft of the humerus. And it has two prominent features. The deltoid tuberosity, okay, which is this one, and the radial groove. So, the deltoid tuberosity, yan siya, okay, is can be seen laterally. Okay, it's located laterally, and it is for the attachment of the deltoid muscle. Okay, so yung deltoid muscle, it originates sa scapula, diba? Dun sa sinabi natin deltoid line, but it inserts sa deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. Okay, and another structure is the what you call the oblique, medyo oblique, okay, radial or spiral groove. Dito, this is a groove for a special structure. It's actually a nerve called the radial nerve. Okay, kaya ang tawag sa kanya radial groove kasi radial nerve yung lumadaan sa kanya. And in some books, spiral groove kasi parang paikot siya. Okay, it is located posteriorly. Okay, this is where the radial nerve and the deep artery of the arm lie. So, as they pass going anteriorly, dyan sila dumadaan. Okay? Now, take a look at the distal part naman of the humerus. There's so much going on in here. So, the inferior end of the humeral shaft widens. So, nag-flare siya as the sharp medial and lateral supracondylar ridges. Okay? And then they end distally in the prominent medial and lateral epicondyle. Okay? So, bakit siya ganyan ang itsura niya? It's because, okay, there are also muscles that insert in these structures. Okay? So, the distal end, so that's the medial and the lateral epicondyle. Okay, so you can see the structure na in yellow. So the distal end, this one is the trochlea. Okay, yung trochlea, it is similar to a spool-shaped structure. Okay, for articulation with the proximal end of the ulna. Okay, pagka titignan mo siya, okay, laterally, there's this parang bilog or a circular structure. That naman is called the capitellum. It's more lateral. Okay? And kung yung trochlea, it articulates with the ulna, the red one, the capitellum, that articulates with the radius. Okay? So, we can also see, aside from the protuberances or the prominences, there are some depressions again, mga pockets ulit, mga small pools. And this red structure right here is the radial fossa. Okay? So, the radial fossa, this one accommodates the edge of the head of the radius. Okay, when the elbow is fully flexed. Okay. This structure here naman is called the coronoid fossa, which receives the coronoid process of the ulna during full flexion of the elbow. Okay, so kaya pala siya may mga butas or depressions kasi pagka binaluktot mo yung siko, may papasok sa mga regions na yan. Okay? Alright, so lastly, sa distal part, if you take a look at it posteriorly, there's what you call the structure called the olecranon fossa. Okay? So dito naman papasok yung olecranon process of the ulna. Okay? Again, I repeat, the radial fossa and the olecranon fossa. Okay, so we have here a clinical scenario. Okay? A 30-year-old male is brought to your hospital because a fracture of the humerus. So physical exam, it shows inability to extend his left wrist and numbness on the dorsoradial aspect of the hand. Okay? So may fracture daw yung humerus and yung patient na to, nagmamanhid yung dorsum, yung likod, and radial, lateral aspect of the hand. Yung ibang physical exam findings are normal. This is the patient's x-ray. Okay? Question. What is the structure that is most likely injured, causing the ability to extend the wrist and numbness on the dorsoradial aspect of the hand? Is it A, axillary nerve, B, median nerve, C, musculocutaneous nerve, D, radial nerve? Key in your answers, please. Okay, can I take a look? C. C. Okay. C, D. Oh, I see some C's, I see some D. Okay. Oh, do you want the answer? Oh, I'll show you the answer. Correct answer is, okay, this is a cross-section of the arm. Okay? Sabi natin, ang daming, this is the humerus. Okay? And what is intimately associated with the humerus is the nerve radialis, also known as the radial nerve. Okay? Kita nyo tong green na to. Ito yung radial nerve. Diba intimately associated siya sa humerus kasi so intimate, meron pang groove na pinangalan sa kanya, di ba? Yung spiral groove. Okay? So, the correct answer is the radial nerve, guys. Kayo naman, yun na nga yung binanggit natin kanina 2 slides ago eh. So, ang sagot, radial nerve. Okay? Musculocutaneous nerve, incorrect po yun. Pati axillary nerve, incorrect because it's more superior. Okay? Kapag kung gusto mo na maipit siya, dapat ipitin mo siya more proximally. Eh, tignan niyo yung fracture ng patient, mas sa gitna siya, di ba? Okay? Tapos, later on, malaman natin na the radial nerve controls wrist extension. Okay? And the sensation in our dorsal thumb. Alright. Diyan. So, the answer is the radial nerve. Okay, so remember, okay, if you have a fracture of the radial, the following parts of the humerus are in direct contact with the indicated nerve. So sa radial groove, radial nerve. Okay, sa surgical neck, axillary nerve. Distal end of the humerus, median nerve. Okay, medial epicondyle, ulnar nerve. So depende kung saan ka nagka-injury, okay, yung tumataas yung possibility which nerve was injured. Okay? So bottom line, the humerus is the appendage that positions the hand at the height. It has a spherical proximal part. Okay? It has a distal part that is connected to the forearm. Okay? The articulations are, the main joint is called the elbow with the trochlea attaching to the ulna and the capitellum or the capitulum attaching to the radius. Okay? It is the humerus is the biggest bone in the upper limb and it is attachment of different soft tissues. Okay. Questions? Oh my God. Di pa tayo tapos. Bone pa lang tayo. So I'm gonna give you a 5-minute bio break. Come back ng 2:04 in the afternoon. Oh, I'm running a little late, so medyo bibilisan ko ng konti sa part na to. Okay, let's proceed with the elbow. Okay, so the elbow is composed of the distal part of the humerus and the proximal parts of the bones of the forearm, namely the radius and the ulna. Okay, so that's the distal part of the humerus, and this is the proximal part of the elbow. Okay, so the humerus articulates, so the capitellum of the humerus articulates with the head of the radius, whereas the trochlea of the humerus articulates with the ulna, okay, at the olecranon fossa. Okay, so the elbow does not easily dislocate because there are fossa that serve as locks. Okay, so first we have the olecranon fossa, okay, which prevents the further posterior movement of the olecranon of the ulna into the humerus during extension. Okay, and then the coronoid fossa, which prevents further anterior movement of the radius and ulna during flexion. Okay, so other than the bony articulations that keep the elbow stable, there are also ligaments in the elbow that add additional stability to the elbow. Okay? So, ayan. So, tatandaan natin, these are the different joints of the elbow, and there are a lot of soft tissue or ligament that stabilize it. Okay. So, there. So, this is just a reiteration of what we said a while ago. So, the olecranon fossa, it prevents posterior movement of the olecranon into the humerus during extension, while the coronoid fossa, it prevents the further anterior movement of the radius and ulna during flexion with the coronoid process. Okay, so tandaan natin ha, itong mga figures na ito. Okay, and these are the different ligaments that surround the elbow that also confer additional stability. So, if you remember this slide, okay, let's focus here, okay, on the ulnar nerve. Okay, so the ulnar nerve passes over the groove between the medial epicondyle and the trochlea of the humerus. Okay, so if you damage the ulnar nerve, okay, due to fractures or a dislocation of the elbow, your patient can suffer from cubitus varus. In Tagalog, okay, komang. Okay? Cubitus valgus, okay, walang katumbas na Tagalog siya, okay, it can lead to a condition called tardy ulnar nerve palsy. So, yung cubitus valgus, kabaliktaran lang ng komang. Okay? And that, yung sobrang valgus deformity can lead to tardy ulnar nerve palsy. Okay, so what is tardy ulnar nerve palsy? So, you will have weakness of your small finger, and that will in turn cause weakness in grip because of the ulnar nerve being impinged in this region, okay, of the elbow. And bakit siya na mai-impinge? Because of severe cubitus valgus. So, pag sinabi natin cubitus, guys, we are referring to the elbow. Pag sinabi natin valgus, okay, the elbow is pointing midline. Pag varus, okay, cubitus varus, the elbow is pointing outwardly. Alright, so nagkaka-tardy ulnar nerve if we develop a severe cubitus valgus. Okay. Now, let's proceed with the forearm. In the forearm, okay, we have two bones. The first bone is the ulna. The ulna is the stabilizing bone of the forearm, and is located in the medial. Okay, this is longer compared to the other bone. Okay, it has a proximal, middle, and distal part, and because the ulna does not reach the wrist, it is not part of the wrist joint. Okay, so tignan muna natin yung proximal part. It has, the ulna has a massive proximal part, right? Proximal end that is ready for articulation with the humerus proximally and the head of the radius laterally. Now, for articulations with the humerus, it has two main prominences. So it has the olecranon, which projects proximally from its posterior aspect, and meron din siyang coronoid process, much smaller, which projects anteriorly. Now, the olecranon and the coronoid process form the walls of the trochlear notch. Okay? Now, inferior to the coronoid process is the tuberosity of the ulna, okay, for the attachment of the tendon of the brachialis muscle. So, another prominence, another attachment. On the lateral side of the coronoid process is a smooth, rounded concavity called the radial notch, which receives the broad periphery of the head of the radius. Now, inferior to the radial notch, on the lateral surface of the ulnar shaft is a prominent ridge called the supinator crest. Okay, so you could just imagine it's a protuberance, may nakakabit din siyang muscle called the supinator. Between it and the distal part of the coronoid process is a concavity, the supinator fossa. Okay, and the deep part of the supinator muscle attaches to the supinator crest and the fossa. So that's for the proximal third of the ulna. Now, for the shaft or the body of the ulna, you note that it is thick and cylindrical, especially proximally, right? But it tapers, okay, diminishing in diameter as it continues distally. So this is an attachment, okay, the shaft is an attachment for the interosseous membrane. So that one is the ulna. Okay, now, at the distal end of the ulna is a small but abrupt enlargement. The disc-like head of the ulna, you see here, okay, includes a short head, okay, a short head and a neck, and it has a short head, and it also had para siyang comma-shaped structure. It's called the styloid process. Okay? So it's a conical structure called the styloid process of the ulna or the ulnar styloid. Please note, class, na the styloid process is not unique to the ulna. There are other bones with a styloid process. So when you are asked to identify something, don't just write styloid process. Indicate kung kaninong bone siya napapahilang. Is it the ulnar styloid? Is it the radial styloid? So please note that. Okay? So again, the ulna does not reach the wrist and therefore does not participate in the wrist joint. Okay, the next bone in the forearm is more lateral, nasa labas siya, and it is shorter of the two forearm bones. Its proximal end includes a short head. Okay, it has a short head. Dahil may head ka, meron ka ring neck. And medially, you have a tuberosity called the radial tuberosity. Like the ulna, it has a proximal, middle, and distal parts. Okay, let's proceed to so that is the proximal. Now for the medial part or the shaft of the radius. So you will see that it gradually enlarges as it passes distally. And katulad ng ulna, it is also an attachment for the interosseous membrane. Now, for the distal part of the radius, you will note that there is a notch. Okay, there is a notch that is where the ulnar head will sit. There is also a styloid process, okay? So for the radius. So pareho silang may styloid process. And there's also the dorsal tubercle of the radius. Okay, so those are the dorsal tubercle of the radius. Basically, attachment site for ligaments. And they also serve as passageways for different tendons. Okay, so this is the distal aspect of the radius or the radial bone. Okay, so what's some clinical application here? So Colles fracture, this is basically the most common fracture of the forearm. This is basically a fracture that results when you fall on your outstretched hand. So the hand or the wrist is in extension. What happens is that the distal fragment is displaced dorsally. So pumupunta palikod yung distal fragment. Okay? And the ulnar styloid process is a valse. Minsan napuputol yung ulnar styloid process. It is called a dinner fork or a silver fork deformity because of the way that the fracture or the hand, okay, looks after it has fractured. So that is the clinical application. It's the most common fracture of the forearm. Okay, it's called a Colles fracture. Basically, fracture siya both ng distal radius and the ulnar styloid. Alright. Okay. So, a little information, the interosseous membrane, this is a thin ligament, okay, that attaches between the radius and the ulna along the shaft. So, it connects the two bones together. So, di ba sabi natin that the ulna and the radius, para siya, dalawang bone siya, but really, it acts like one bone, such that if you fracture one bone, either the radius or the ulna, the other would have difficulty in functioning because they are intimately connected by this fibrous material called the interosseous membrane. Okay? So, bottom line, the forearm bones, they make up the second unit of this two-unit articulating strut. Okay? The radius is able to provide a pivot. Kapag pinipihit nyo yung kamay nyo, ang umiikot na bone doon yung radius. Okay? The ulna is longer and bigger than the radius. Okay? And it's located medially, whereas the radius is located laterally. Okay? True or false? The ulna is part of the wrist. True or false? The ulna is part of the wrist. Okay, so the answer is true. It is part of the wrist. Tama ba? Wala na nagko-comment. False. Di ba sabi natin yung ulna hindi na siya umabot sa wrist? Kaya nakapatay yung ulna hindi na siya umaabot sa wrist. Okay? What is part of the wrist is the radial bone or the radius. Okay? Alright. Now, we go to the wrist and hand. Okay, the wrist, so it's composed of different bones. Okay? It's composed of the distal radius and the carpal bones. Okay? So, these are the carpal bones. Okay, so how will you memorize this? So, we have a mnemonic. It's called Scared Lovers Try Positions That I Cannot Handle. Okay? Or, more wholesome, sana lahat tayo pasa, tepok tayo kapag hindi. So, it stands for scaphoid, lunate, triquetrium, pisiform. Okay? And then, trapezius, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Okay? Alright, let's first go to scaphoid. Okay? Scaphoid is Greek for boat. Okay? Kapag nagkaroon ka ng fracture sa scaphoid, okay, that is hard to heal. Okay? So scaphoid is a boat-shaped structure. It is the second largest wrist or carpal bone, and it has the largest connection or articulation with the radius. Okay? And because of that, kapag nag-fall ka into your outstretched hand, okay, pwede siyang mabali aside from the radius. Okay? It has a prominent scaphoid, it has a prominent scaphoid tubercle, and when you have a fracture of the scaphoid, pwede mong maputol pati yung blood supply niya, and that is hard to heal. And you call that disease Fraser's disease. And that's the avascularization of the scaphoid due to trauma. Okay? Next, so that's the scaphoid. Okay, next we have the lunate. Okay, lunate is Latin for moon. Okay, kasi moon-shaped structure siya and in contact with the radius as well. Okay? So, mas kita siya when you ulnarly deviate your wrist. Okay? This bone is notorious because it is the one that is easily dislocated. Okay? And kanina, kung avascular necrosis of the scaphoid is called Fraser's disease, okay, avascular necrosis of the lunate is called Kinbock disease. Okay? It is very painful, no? Kasi arthritic na yung bone na yan. So that's the lunate. Okay, Kinbock's disease is a vascular necrosis of the lunate. Next is the triquetrium. Okay, triquetrium, Latin for three corners. Okay, it is a three-sided bone and it articulates proximally with the articular disc of the distal radioulnar joint. Okay, next is the pisiform. It comes from the Latin word which means P-shape. Kasi tama naman para siyang P. Okay? It is a P-shaped bone that lies on the palmar surface of the triquetrium. Okay? Mas volar or palmar itong butong to. On the second row, you have the trapezium. Okay? The trapezium is a four-sided bone on the lateral side of the corpus. It articulates with the other carpal bones but also with the first and the second metacarpals. Ito yung first metacarpal, ito yung second metacarpal. The trapezium articulates to those bones as well. Okay? So this is the trapezium. Then next, the trapezoid comes from the Latin word which means table. This is a table or wedge-shaped bone in the carpus, the second row of the carpus, and it articulates with the second metacarpal, the trapezium, the capitate, and the other scaphoid bones, and the other carpal bones, namely the scaphoid. Okay? Next, we have the capitate. It comes from the Latin word which means head, capitate. Okay? Katulad kanina sa radius, capitellum, kasi mukha siyang ulo. The capitate is the keystone of the distal carpal bones. Kasi meron kang proximal carpal bone, meron kang distal or second row ng carpal bones. Sa lahat ng carpal bones, the capitate is the biggest and it's the first to ossify at age 1 to 2 years old. And then lastly, we have the hamate. Okay? The hamate, okay, comes from the Greek word which means hook. Latin word which means hook. Okay, hook, kasi this bone contains a hamulus or a hook-like structure. Okay, so this one is a wedge-shaped structure located at the medial side of the wrist, and it is distinctive from other carpal bones because it has a hook-like structure. So ito yung carpals. The carpus or the wrist is composed of 8 small bones, 4 sa proximal row, 4 sa distal row. Sa proximal row, the bones are the scaphoid, lunate, triquetrium, and pisiform. Whereas in the distal row, okay, nandun si trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Okay, so Yan, sa next lecture nyo na yan. And then lastly, this is the hand. Okay? So the hand, gusto ko magkaintindihan tayo ngayon pa lang. Kapag pag-uusapan natin yung hand, we'll talk about the fingers. And this slide shows to us the percent functionality of your extremity, okay, that is contributed by the finger. For example, if you amputate your thumb, okay, 40% ng function ng hand mawawala. Okay? If you amputate your index finger, okay, 20% of the function of the index finger will be gone. Now, based on the 1984 Anaheim Convention, we named them, okay, as how they are seen in this photograph. So this is the thumb, this is the index finger, okay, you can say forefinger. This is the middle finger, this is the ring finger, and this is the small finger or the pinky. Huwag na natin siyang tatawagin na first digit, second digit, third digit, fourth digit. Kasi sa ibang lugar, mamaya ito yung first digit, ito yung second digit. E di sa third digit ka lang tumama. Okay, so let's call them with their names. Kayo ba, gusto nyo bang tawagin kayong medical student 1? Diba, gusto nyo sa pangalan nyo? Next. Okay, so the palmar side of the hand has no sebaceous glands but rich in nerve endings. Okay, kaya we feel with our hand. Okay, and the movements of the fingers, very flexible. Flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, and opposition. Okay, so there are different grips. Okay, we have the key grip. Okay, the precision grip and the power grip. Okay, and the bones of the hand are the following. So ito yung mga metacarpals. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metacarpal bones. Okay, so each metacarpal is composed of a base, a shaft, and a head. Base, head, and shaft. Okay? And then, what is noteworthy is yung metacarpal 1. Because metacarpal 1, it does not lie on the same plane. So, pag tinignan nyo yung palad nyo, yung thumb na metacarpal, okay, can go forward, backward. It can also go side to side. Right? It does not lie on the same plane as the other metacarpals. It is also the shortest but the most mobile. Okay, so the other 4 metacarpals, basically, they are just, attachments. Now, we have 4 phalanges naman. The phalanges, okay, are the bones that make up your fingers. Okay, and you have 3 phalanges for each finger except for the thumb. So the phalanges you have, okay, a proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. Okay, plural, phalanges, singular phalanx. Okay, and like the metacarpal, meron din siyang base, meron siyang shaft, meron siyang head. Okay, and kung titignan nyo, yung distal phalanx, kakaiba siya. Okay, because wala siyang head right? Ang meron siya is a tapered structure. And this tapered structure, makikita natin, nasa ilalim siya ng ating fingernail. Okay? So, ingat kayo kapag nagkaroon kayo ng infection sa kuko, yan, ang infection na yan, can reach your bone, specifically your distal phalanx, and that can cause amputation, no? Pagka sobrang hindi na-control yung infection. Okay, so that's the distal phalanx. So, bottom line, okay, there are different kinds of bones in the body and each are connected to one another in joints or articulations. Okay, this affords us movement in space. It affords us grip strength. It affords us fine motor and gross motor movement. And it is highly flexible and can do lots of motions. Now, before we end with osteology of the bones, okay, I want us to practice. Alam ko na hindi nyo ito mamememorize lahat, but through repetition and practice, you will be able to learn this. Okay, let's start. Okay? Ano yan? I want you guys to answer na lang. Anyone? Clavicle. Sige. Very good. How about this one? What is that specific part of the bone? Sabi natin dyan, yan yung T. Dyan nagsushoot yung humeral head. That is called the, anyone? Wala? That's called the glenoid fossa, guys. Okay, pwede na glenoid. Pwede na. Patatawarin na natin ng glenoid. Next, how about this one? Okay, sa glenoid din siya pero bandang taas. Medyo mahirap to, pero sige. The supraglenoid tubercle. Okay? Mas makikita niya sa laboratory. But supraglenoid tubercle. How about this one? What do you call that one? Hindi siya yung dulo, ah. Hindi nga yung dulo, eh. Okay, talaga. That's called the scapular spine. Di ba siya yung nagdi-divide? Okay? Sa posterior aspect ng scapula. That's the scapular spine. How about this one? O, yan. Baka magkamali pa tayo dyan. Pinakamataas ng point na scapula, the highest point in the scapula is called the, very good, the acromion. Eh, yung lowest, yung pangalawa, if it's not the acromion, then it's the, starts with the C, that's the coracoid process. Galing. How about that one, humerus? What do you call that structure right there? Head? Ano? Okay, that's the head of the humerus. Pero specifically itong line na to, you are correct. That's the anatomical neck of the humerus. Tatanggapin ko yung anatomical neck. How about this one? It's a prominence, mas malaki, nasa proximal part, greater tubercle. Ano pa isang tawag sa greater tubercle? Greater tuberosity. Okay? How about yung mas maliit? Hindi po superior tubercle kasi pag sinabi nating superior, mas mataas. Hindi siya mas malaki. Kailangan greater tubercle. Lesser tubercle naman yung isa. Oo, kasi ang kabaliktaran ng big, ang kabaliktaran ng lesser ay greater, 'di ba? Wala naman tayong inferior tubercle, 'di ba? So that's called the lesser tubercle or tuberosity. Eh ito, kung nasaan yung pointer, what is that? Sumusuot dyan ang long head, ay yung tendon ng long head ng biceps muscle. That's the correct bicipital groove, bicipital notch, intertubercular groove. How about this one? Sobrang dali. Shaft. Uy, shaft ng ano? Shaft ng metacarpal. Metacarpal ba yan, guys? Anong shaft yan? Shaft ng humerus. Oo, wag humerus lang. Shaft po, yan ang humerus. Oh, mali pala ako. Deltoid tuberosity pala yan. Pero tama kayo. Doon natin nakikita ang deltoid tuberosity sa shaft. Okay? Next. Okay, what articulation is that? Oh, mabilis na lang. That's the sternoclavicular joint. What articulation is that? That's the acromioclavicular joint. How about this one? What ligament is that, guys? Mas nasa labas siya. Sige nga. Trapezoid. Very good. Part siya ng coracoclavicular ligament. Okay? And that specifically is the trapezoid ligament. Galing ah. Okay? How about that? What do you call that ligament? It connects this structure to this structure. Siret? Okay, that's the coracoid. That's the acromion. Coraco, acromial ligament. Diba? Ang clavicle, ito siya. Diba? Ito siya. So, ang pinagkoconnect ng ligament, acromion and coracoid. Kaya, coraco-acromial ligament. So, kahit hindi ko siya tinuro, malalaman niyo siya kasi alam niyo yung structure. Okay. So, how about this one? This is the humerus, distal aspect. O, ano yung structure na to? Tatandaan nyo, okay, kapag binigyan kayo ng humerus, tignan nyo muna yung harap at likod. Kapag may nakita kayong spool-shaped structure, okay, harap yon. Kapag may malaking butas sa likod yon. Ngayon, aalamin nyo na lang ano yung lateral, ano yung medial. Okay? Kapag ka nakita nyo, merong parang bilog, that's the capitellum. So, ito yung bilog eh. Ibig sabihin, ito yung lateral. Therefore, ito yung medial. So, ano yan? That's the medial epicondyle. How about this one? Siyempre, kung may medial, may lateral epicondyle. Eh, ito, ano yan? Capitulum or capitellum. Ano yung nag-articulate sa capitellum? Ulna or radius? Ulna radius, ulna radius. So, sa capitellum guys, natandaan nyo, radial head capitellum, radial head capitellum, radial head capitellum. Okay? So, this is the capitellum guys. Okay? Ang nag-articulate on dumidikit dyan, ang pangat kasi ng word na dikit eh, what articulates with it is the radial head. This one, this is the trochlea, spool-shaped structure. This articulates with the ulna. Okay? O, nasabi ko na. This is the trochlea. And it articulates with the ulna. O lastly, what do you call this structure naman? Mas maliit siya na prominent sa proximal ulna. Oh, mas maliit nga eh. Okay, talaga. Huwag kayong palansi. Oh, that's called the trochlear notch. Okay? Yung mas malaki, yan po yung olecranon. Okay? Okay. O yan. Anong tawag dyan sa structure na yan? That is the coronoid process. Okay. How about that? What do you call that? Naka-articulate yan sa capitellum. That's the radial head. Okay. How about this one? Okay, itong prominent sa may proximal radius, what do you call that? That's the radial tuberosity or biceps tuberosity or biceps tubercle. Okay, this one. Anong tinuturo ko guys? Radius or ulna? Ala siya. Hala, yung arrow, ito, is this the radius or is the ulna? Sabi nyo, radius. Okay. Di ba ang radius at ulna parehong may styloid, Yung kakaiba yung styloid, okay, yung sobrang maliit na kudlet, parang comma shape, yan ay belonging to the ulna. Ang ulna, proximally, sa taas, malaki siya. Pero pag papunta na siya sa wrist, lumiliit na siya. So guys, that is the ulna. And ang tinuturo natin is the ulnar head. O, yung tinuturo ko naman, ano yan? Ulnar styloid. Okay? O, yung kabila naman, siyempre, radial styloid yung isa. So guys, kapag ka sa exam, i-specify natin kung ulnar styloid or radial styloid kasi pag styloid lang or styloid process lang, mali yun kasi dalawa yung pwedeng styloid eh. Isa sa radius, isa sa ulna. So that is the radial styloid. O yan, what bone is that? Both comes from the word, the Latin word which means both. Okay, scaphoid. How about dyan? Comes from moon shape. Lunate. Okay. How about this one? Sunod lang. That's the triquetrium. And the P-shaped one is the pisiform. The one that articulates with the thumb, yung carpal bone that articulates with the thumb is the trapezium. Okay, yung katabi niya is the trapezoid. Okay, nakakalito, no? And this big bone, the keystone, is the capitate. And lastly, yung may hook is the hamate. Okay? Or what do you call these bones? Metacarpal, very good. Ang kakaiba sa kanya yung first metacarpal, di ba? Okay, how about these bones? Anong pangalan niya? Bawal ang sagot na phalanx. That's the proximal phalanges. Kasi pag phalanx lang, alin doon? May proximal, may middle, may distal phalanx. Kaya kailangan i-specify natin. So that's the proximal phalanx. This is the middle phalanx. This is the distal phalanx. End of lecture na. Okay? O sulitin ko na, sagarin ko na ha. Tips on studying. So pag mag-aaral kayo, do not fall into the trap of reviewing your strengths repeatedly. Kapag alam niyo na yung topic, huwag niyo nang ulit-ulitin. Punta na kayo dun sa concept na hindi niyo naintindihan. Okay? So, spend time on your weaknesses, not on your strengths. Okay? Kapag sa exam, long exam, identify niyo yung multiple choice question. Kung madali ba siya, kaya ko siyang sagutin with some analysis, or imposible ko siyang masagot kasi di ko siya naaral. Okay? And then, once na ma-identify niyo siya, tsaka niyo siya sagutan. Okay? I-pace niyo yung sarili niyo, lalo na pag nag-e-exam. Tignan niyo muna kung ano yung mga easy. So, una niyong i-eliminate yan sa picture. Sunod niyo na yung workable. Tapos yung impossible, yun yung mga numbers na sacrifice niyo na. Kasi kung uunahin yung impossible MCQ items, ubos ng oras nyo, hindi nyo pa natatapos yung exam. Avoid the fourth quarter effect, aka burnt out. Pace and endurance are important. So, ibig sabihin, sa medical school, madami bottomless pit yung knowledge. So, hindi nyo siya makukuha ng isang upuan lang. What's important is gawin nyo siya in bite-sized chunks. Iba-iba kayo, so iba-iba rin ang definition nyo ng bite-sized chunks. So, nasa sa inyo yun kung paano nyo hahati-hatiin yung mga subjects or yung mga topics para ma-consume nyo siya into bite-size. Pace yourself, and para mag-build kayo ng endurance, do practice exams. Repetition is the key. Okay? So, on case questions, remember that the question is often indirectly asking something you already know. Katulad nung kanina, sabi natin, pinag-uusapan natin, humerus, ang nerve na nabanggit natin. Related to that is the radial nerve. So, malamang radial nerve ang sagot. But also, think about kung ano yung mga clues. Like, sabi dito, yung x-ray, sabi dito, may numbness daw sa dorsolateral aspect ng hand, so etc. etc. Okay, know the synonym, eponym, root word. Hindi pwede na sabihin nyo na ang ginamit sa exam, radial tuberosity, hindi biceps tubercle, pero ang alam mo, biceps tubercle lang, hindi mo pwedeng i-contest na mali yung question. Kasi, in real life, may mga synonyms talaga sila. So, you have to know the synonyms, you have to know the root words and the eponyms. Unfortunately, kasama siya. Okay? And last, don't fall into the trap of being cocky because you've already gone through a subject in detail. Kahit na natapos mo pa yung trans mo, natapos mo pa yung reading mo, as humans, we are prone to forget. So, huwag kayong mayabang. Aralin nyo siya ulit hanggang sa nagpa-practice exam kayo and you are almost getting everything correctly. Okay? Kasi tatandaan natin na hindi nag-uulit ng exam yung mga lecturers natin. So, the old exam or the sample exams can only guide us. It cannot bring us into a passing, becoming or actually being successful in the exam. They can only guide us, but it's not assured because that's not the exact exam. Okay ba yun? So with that, ito yung list na yun. Okay? End na talaga. Alright? So that's my lecture and oh my God, 45 minutes for muscles. Are you kidding me? Okay, kaya pa ba? No. Sige. Bigyan ko kayo ng 5-minute break before we proceed with the musculature of the upper extremity. Guys, mas madugo to. Be back ng 2:50. We'll do our best with the time that we have. Okay, so let's proceed now with upper musculature. Okay, so I just to let you know, guys, if this is the first time that you are going to hear these muscles, I do suggest na you go to your resources, Moore, Snell, Wikipedia, ChatGPT, bala na kayo, okay? And actually read about these muscles. Kung kailangan yung aralin to, kung bakit ganito yung pangalan niya, anong ibig sabihin ng pangalan niya, okay, gawin natin para mas maintindihan natin because this lecture will not land, okay, if we do not have, that kind of understanding with regard to these muscles. But I am giving this lecture to you so that from now on, after this lecture, these muscle names won't be foreign to you anymore. Okay, so with that, these are the upper limb musculature. So if you are going to divide, sobrang dami kasing muscles sa upper limbs. So if you are going to study them, divide them based on saan silang group na papabilang. For this lecture, I'm just going to discuss, just a few of them. The thoracoappendicular muscles, I won't discuss anymore because it will be included in another lecture. Okay? My objectives, my reference are the following. Okay? So the difference of the upper extremity, is different from the lower extremity because the upper extremity is mainly responsible for maintaining the tone of the body, okay? The muscles, most specifically, they provide motion, they provide stability, and they allow movement of the joints in the upper extremity. Okay, so just a quick recap. So there are different joints in the upper extremity, and these are the ones that we have talked about a while ago, diba? And these areas, they have different names, okay? Now, with regard to the transition, we have the axilla, okay? The transition between the thorax or the shoulder and then the arm. The transition between the arm and the forearm is the cubital fossa. Transition between the forearm and the hand is the wrist or the carpal tunnel. Okay, so there are so many movements that these different joints can do. Okay, and these different articulations can achieve. Okay, and the reason why we're able to achieve that is because these varied movements are possible because we have different muscles. Okay? So let's first start with part 1, the ichioappendicular muscles, meaning ito yung muscles ng thorax, ng pectoral girdle. Okay? So you can divide the ichioappendicular muscles into two groups.